Well, this here's my 1980 Centurion 500. Picked her up last year. It was all together when I got it. Supposedly it had spark and it fired up on starting fluid. I checked her over. Didn't look too bad at the time. It was in a barn prior to him getting it, and he said a grain elevator fell on the hood, so he had to replace it with a TXL hood, which is pretty good. I like it. It's like a sleeper. The track was locked up, and as you can see, water doesn't lubricate chain very well, and all the gears are pretty much trashed. Chain's broken. Spindle busted. Got a new one out of another 80 TXL to replace that one. She could also probably use new wear bars. I don't know, might be able to get a few more miles out of her. No temperature gauge. Those bolts aren't looking too good there. Got a nice chrome bumper hitch on there though. Just finished putting the engine back together the other day. Had to take it apart. It needed new crank seals. They were completely trashed on this this engine. Seems every Polaris I get, crank seals are always bad. So I'm paranoid. I always at least check them and replace them. But it needed it. So I took everything apart, cleaned up the pistons and cylinders and stuff. There was a little bit of light surface rust on a few. Not too bad. Cleaned her up, put her back together. New gasket set. Choke cables were, the little plungers were seized in there. That was a fun job getting them out of there without breaking anything. But I finally got that. The original clutch was pretty much trashed. So I got another TX clutch and I put in some B weights with a red Polaris spring. Chain case is cracked. Looks like the frame's already been repaired once. Strip speedometer drive. Lock and collar were stuck. I take her off with the angle grinder. And the bottom bearing, its collar's pretty much seized on there as well. One of the bearings is bad, and it'll hardly turn. Lots of bad T-nut studs. Studs ripped through the tunnel in a couple places. Just patched up with duct tape. Thing that made the whole sled worth it. Firebird keychain. Oh, one nice thing about having a crap Centurion, I don't care if drilling a hole in the belly pan. Had to use that to drive the track driver out because everything was so seized in there. The seat needs recovered. Also needs new tail light. Everything's loose. Last time they did the seat cover, didn't do a very good job. Looks like it was sunk at least one time. There's a water line on the inside of the chain case. Brake caliper was seized up. I finally got it apart, and that's all that was left inside. Cleaned up the secondary clutch. Gummed up carbs. Put new bearings in the chain case. Cleaned up the caliper. Took out the piston, got everything in there nice and clean. She's working smooth now. Slightly less abused track I'm putting in the Centurion. New spindle. Straightened out the front tie rod. Front heat exchanger has definitely seen better days. Empty and partially seized the master cylinder. Got the suspension ready. Drilled and retapped the aluminum shafts for 7/16. Took apart everything, greased every shaft. Then I replaced the shock with a good one I had from a junkyard suspension. New wear bars. Bent ski. Nothing the press can't handle. Got some fresh used gears in the chain in there. Also added in a piece of steel to help reinforce the frame where it was cracking in there, and a kickstand. Just got the engine finally back in there and hooked up. Got all the electrical system connected. Gonna see if we got spark. Hopefully the kill works. fire going. Got a TXL gas tank. I got the swap meet. And man, is it snowing. Gauge busted out. Sheet metal screws keeping the gas from getting all over my car hearts. Added the hooked up the temperature light. Had to fix the temperature sending unit. Covered up the holes in the tunnel to keep my ass dry. Snow flap kept getting sucked under, so I just tied it up with a piece of wire. Now, the choke cable linkage thing there, it broke off. And because I'm too cheap to buy a new one, I know they're only a few bucks, but hey, that few bucks, you know, could buy some crank seals or beer or whatever. But I just got a paper clip, drilled a couple of holes through the choke shaft. Paper clip, some scrap fuel line. That operates the choke. And when you get the choke out, you get this paper clip and you put it in the secondary hole I got there, and that's what puts it on a full choke. So when you want to take it off, you just pull the paper clip out and it pops back down. Had to weld up the exhaust manifold. It was cracking in 3 places. Had to take apart the tack and clean it. There was a spider web in there. Wasn't working right. A spring was messed up. So I took it apart, recalibrated it. There's my temporary duct tape ductwork to keep some snow out of the air box. And since I really can't stand running any engine without an actual filter or screening system of some sort, this air box was just completely, just had one diverter panel in there or whatever. And that was it. No foam to catch any debris. So I modified that panel, opened up a few more holes, but then laid a piece of t-shirt across the holes to act as a filtering system. I opened up the extra holes in that divider so it'll flow hopefully about like it should before, with the extra restriction of the t-shirt filter, and just duct taped her back together. Well, here she is, pretty much finished. All that work and it still looks like hell. But pretty much every moving part on the sled has been either repaired, replaced, or taken apart and inspected and cleaned. So hopefully she should be pretty reliable. Man, I love the sound of this thing. This is the first triple I've had. I'll tell you, if I ever get the money, I'm definitely putting triple pipes on her.